Good morning and welcome to NYSE TV Live. I'm Kristen Scholler coming to you from above the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange on this Monday morning. And today, ResMed, a NYSE listed company with the ticker symbol RMD, will be here to celebrate its 35th anniversary and 25 years of listing on the New York Stock Exchange by ringing the opening bell. We'll have plenty to get to over this next hour. And today is the final day of the third quarter, so I'll be speaking with Wall Street experts about some of the biggest storylines to unfold over the past 3 months and what upcoming events will define the fourth fiscal quarter as we head into year end. Well, as ResMed gets ready to ring the opening bell, my colleague Trinity Chavez will speak with the American Academy of Sleep Medicine about some of the biggest challenges facing Americans when it does come to getting a good night's sleep and how important it is. Later, after ResMed celebrates the opening bell, I'll be joined by ResMed Chair and CEO Mick Farrell about his company's goal of changing the lives of 250 million people in 2025. Well, ResMed says it's already changed the lives of 178 million in the 12 months leading up to August 24th. Here are some of the ways that it's accomplishing this. The company, which provides digital health and cloud-connected medical devices, aims to help people dealing with conditions like sleep apnea, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and other chronic illnesses. ResMed adds that it operates in more than 140 countries. Its range of solutions incorporates some of today's most prevalent technological advances. For example, its cloud-connected CPAP machines, equipment, and digital health technologies help those who suffer from sleep apnea. Its cloud-connected ventilators manage COPD and other types of respiratory illnesses. ResMed is not only working with patients, but it's hoping to get providers a boost as well in the way of healthcare management solutions that deliver more personalized care, measurable results, and ultimately improving outcomes. Well, earlier this year, ResMed published its 2024 Global Sleep Survey, which revealed the biggest challenges that people around the world are facing when it comes to getting a good night's sleep. According to 36,000 participants across 17 different countries, nearly 40% of individuals are getting less than 3 nights of quality sleep a week. Additionally, only 13% of respondents reported sleeping well every night. Well, when asked about what was keeping the participants awake, the top reasons that emerged were personal anxiety at 36%, insomnia at 25%, breathing difficulties at 15%, and obesity at 13%. It can be implied that some of the technology that we use every day isn't helping. According to the survey, more than half of the respondents said that they use a digital device before going to bed, whether to scroll through social media, watch TV, or even catch up on the news. Well, technology is trying to aid people getting better sleep in other ways. For example, we highlighted some of ResMed's cloud-based solutions earlier, and the company's global sleep survey also revealed this. As people become more curious about the way that they sleep, 36% of participants say that they're tracking the sleep either through a smartphone app or by using a wearable device. Now, according to the survey, the top 3 benefits that individuals cite after a good night's sleep include improved concentration at 50%, better productivity at 51%, and improved mental health at 41%. Nearly 90% of respondents think that getting a good amount of sleep benefits them physically, while 83% says it allows them to be more creative. Now, in just a few minutes, we'll provide you exclusive access of Chair and CEO Mick Farrell's executive remarks before he and his team make their way down to the trading floor and celebrate the opening bell. But first, as we look to round out the month of September and the third quarter, investors have shown confidence. The S&P and the Dow are looking at monthly gains of nearly 2%, and for the quarter, the S&P is up about 5%. Well, October, which starts tomorrow, historically is a more volatile month, and today we do see stock futures pointing to about fractional losses at the open. Well, joining me now to talk markets is Katie Stockton, founder and managing partner at Fairlead Strategies. Katie, welcome, and thanks for joining us on this Monday morning.
Of course. Good morning.
How did the markets look to you at these levels with stocks still near record highs?
That's right. The S&P 500 has had a very good quarter and really managed to avoid the weak seasonal influences in September. The breakout to new highs that we've just seen tends to act as a positive catalyst. However, short-term overbought conditions are pretty widespread at this point, so we're not chasing this rally. We do think that there are some risks longer term, and because of that, we want to respect the overbought condition and await consolidation or pullback perhaps to add any exposure. And we do think that consolidation is imminent based on things like the volatility index or VIX. You had mentioned volatility is sort of normal for October. And indeed, we have an oversold upturn in the VIX near support from its 200-day moving average. And that would suggest that we do indeed see that pickup in volatility in the near term.
In terms of consolidation, Katie, that you anticipate is in store based on the chart patterns, are we talking about a 3% pullback, a 5% pullback, or is perhaps a correction, a 10% drop in stocks possible given these conditions?
Really, anything is possible, of course, and volatility is likely as we come into the election as well. Now, we don't have a way to understand or interpret the indicators to suggest what percentage downside there is, but we can look at support levels for some guidance. And for the S&P 500, initial support is right around 5,400 on the chart, and that's not terribly far below, but it does create a little bit of a sort of a bad risk reward if you're just adding exposure here because of the distance to that support level. So we'd await the consolidation. We do have some frothy price action out of China, as I'm sure you've noticed, and that makes us a little bit on edge. We do feel like we need some consolidation there as well to normalize things. And sentiment has been impacted. We have not only the VIX coming off of an oversold level, but the put-call ratio is also very, very low. So it does suggest that there's some complacency in the market right now.
Interesting. I know you mentioned earlier, Katie, several risks that could be in store and impact perhaps some of these levels. What do you see those potential risks as?
For us, it's coming all from technical analysis. We're looking at monthly bar charts, and we're seeing indications that the uptrend, the cyclical uptrend, is overdone. It doesn't mean that it will get into a big bear cycle like in 2022, but it does mean that the market needs to probably digest its gains in sideways action over the coming months. We have those indications, and they look at about 9 to 12 months. So that brings us into or through the second half or first half of 2025. So we feel like the market is prone to a trading range at best over that time frame. And because of that, because of these signals, which are designed for trend exhaustion, we feel that it's going to be harder. It's going to be harder to take advantage of long-term holdings. And we're going to have to be a little bit more nimble and try to capture these short-term swings.
I know that you're following the charts in the commodity space as well, and for most Americans, they've seen gas prices cool across the country, certainly in this past month, down about 13 cents to $3.22 a gallon on average across the country, according to AAA. Based on what you see in the chart patterns of the crude oil market, Katie, what might viewers be able to expect for gas prices ahead?
Yeah, well, we do all welcome those lower gas prices for sure. Crude oil has broken down from what we call a long-term triangle formation, and it simply was a neutral setup, a range-bound environment for crude oil preceding the breakdown. The breakdown doesn't have short-term implications. In fact, we are looking for a rebound in the near term based on some oversold indications there. But the breakdown does suggest that on the back of a bounce, we will see more downside for crude oil prices. There is some support in the low 60s, but if that's taken out, then we could even be talking about sort of mid 50s for WTI.
We are awaiting remarks in the boardroom here at the stock exchange, Katie, for the company ResMed celebrating the opening bell today. And before we get to those, I also want to get your take on the jobs report, of course, very important for the Fed and its rate setting policy. What are your expectations as to what we might see in the action around the jobs report on Friday?
That's right. From a technical perspective, I think the only real guarantee is the volatility pickup that we're starting to see already, I think, today. So we are looking for volatility to be somewhat elevated this week as we come into that important jobs report. And then on the back of it, if we're coming in somewhat oversold, that gives the market a better chance to react positively. But based on where the stochastics, our trusty sort of overbought, oversold measures stand at this time, I think it could foster more consolidation or pullback.
Katie Stockton joining me remotely. Katie, thank you so much. It's great to get your take. And we are awaiting remarks, as I mentioned, from Sieber Hall. They are underway. So let's take you there as we prepare to hear from the CEO and chair of ResMed.
To go see clients on the road, and I never travel without my Air Mini. So I am, I will say I am leading a healthier, higher quality of life, and my wife will say she's leading a happier life. So thank you from my family, and I really do appreciate it. So without further ado, I'd like to call up your CEO, chairman, and more importantly, to me at least, today's bell ringer, Mick Farrell. Mick.
So Chris and I were actually tailgating at the same college. He was drunk in a garage and I was drunk in a mod on Saturday. That's why my voice is still recovering. I'm going to do chamomile before we do the investor event. 25 years on the New York Stock Exchange. We were actually 4 years before that on NASDAQ. Boo. And so we left NASDAQ. 95 we listed on NASDAQ. 99 we listed on New York Stock Exchange. And the goal was to lower volatility. That didn't work. There's still the same crazy ups and downs. And look, we've got people who are very long on ResMed and short. But what I love about the New York Stock Exchange is the liquidity it creates, our ability to access global markets. We sell in 140 countries worldwide. So there's 140 countries with wives as happy as yours, Chris. And our mission statement's changed a little from just healthier, happier, and high quality lives. We're going to change the narrative today at Investor Day. We're going to use the word love. If Justin Leong could try to do the heart. Yeah, there we go. That word is not used often, probably, from this podium, Chris. You do this twice a day. But people love our products. I heard the security guard that was walking people around yesterday was a CPAP user, saw the flag and started talking to people. I heard someone this morning was a CPAP user and saw the latest mask. I even just showed the photographer the difference between a plastic mask and our latest one that we're launching today, which has fabric on the mask and where it touches the nares, the nostrils, the part that provides the pneumatic stent that keeps you alive. We're going to help the world sleep better, breathe better, and have the world's best health technology at home. And we're creating life-changing healthcare technologies that people love. That's the new mission. So look forward to launching that. Everyone else in the room knows it. I heard Justin said I missed out on the fun. And I was just drunk on a football field. You guys apparently were really teaming up and creating a fantastic investor day. The investors, so, for everyone in the room, the investors hear from me and Brett every frickin' quarter. So this is where they see the bench strength. This is where they see the details. So it'll be there up on stage that's important. It'll also be every coffee break. For those who've joined us, I see Susie, the best sleep apnea nurse on the planet. And I see, yeah. And Rafael Palaio, the best sleep apnea doctor on the planet. Thank you for flying in from San Diego, San Francisco. Tracy, thank you for driving to the other part of Manhattan. But it's really special, and the customers, that you'll talk to, because investors. Sure, but if you can sell every one of them a CPAP, it is the final day of the quarter. I'd like to see that happen. But no, they'll be watching lean in, lean out, pupil dilation. Like these people, my son loves poker. He wrote his essay about poker for his college thing, and I don't know how a university accepted him writing that. I'm like, write about chess or something. He's like, oh, that's what nerds do, poker. These people are expert poker players, and so they are asking you about this new mask. How's the F40 doing? And it won't be like, what you say, it'll be how you say it. And you guys are experts in this as well, but they'll be watching everything, coffee breaks, all of that. So let's leverage our free New York Stock Exchange benefit here of having this rental of this building to really impress people. That room looks amazing. It looks just like the retail store in Hornsby, North Sydney. Who put the retail store together? Was someone from the retail team here? Thank you. Thank you. Because mostly, I know I said 3 minutes, I'll be done. Mostly the investors that will see it, they see us just through a distributor. Most people in this country feel ResMed's brand through Apria or Rotec. And I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but when you are focused on margins and process flow, you don't care for the patient as much as we do. We're going to help the world sleep better, breathe better, and live better, and we really do care about it. We say patient-centric. I prefer person-centric because it's a person who suffocates. It's a person who doesn't have that ability to breathe. So anyway, good luck. We're going to kill it. I'm so excited. I'm so sad I missed out on the fun. I do get FOMO, but we're going to have a lot of fun today, and I'm going to go get another tea. Chris, thank you.
So we have a lot of traditions here at the New York Stock Exchange. The most notable one is what we'll do in a little bit to open the market at 9:30 by ringing the bell. But Mick, we also present a medallion to our bell ringer every morning. Gave one of these to you 5 years ago.
That's right.
So welcome back. You could add this to your collection, Mick. It's great
Thank
to
you
see
very
you again.
much.
Really
Yeah,
and we will ship 35 years and 25 years to San Diego. I hope you proudly display those.
Should say 100
HQ.
quarters.
100 quarters.
So I lose my hand.
But congratulations
Thank
on all
you.
your success. Thank you, everyone. All right, I'm going to send it back to my colleagues who are hosting the webcast, and we'll see everybody down on the trading floor. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it.
All right, thanks, of course, to Chris Taylor, Global Head of Listings here at the Stock Exchange, and the Chair and CEO of ResMed, speaking there in Siebert Hall. Again, the Chair and CEO is going to join me after celebrating the opening bell for more remarks about what is in store for shareholders, especially as it celebrates its Investor Day here at the Stock Exchange today. Well, as ResMed prepares to make its way to the trading floor, we'll hear from a sleep expert after this short commercial break.
Welcome to Floor Talk. It's great to have you on the show today.
Judy, it's so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So now, David, you took the company public in 2021. You were part of that IPO class. Now tell me, what has made Zeta Global one of the most successful companies that IPO'd that year?
Well, I can't speak to the other companies. What I can say for us was, we've now been public for, 12 quarters. And for 12 consecutive quarters in a row, we have beat the guidance that we've given to Wall Street and raised our guidance for the next quarter and the year that we were in. So execution, I think, has really been a differentiator for us versus a number of other companies that have maybe not been able to execute as well through choppy times. I mean, it's been a choppy few years in the marketplace, and I feel incredibly proud of our team for being able to execute so well. And I think a lot of it also is our products. When we went public here 3 years ago, the sign or the banner that we put on the side of the New York Stock Exchange said, data plus AI equals intent. I used to have to explain to people what that meant. Now, I think everybody really understands what artificial intelligence it is. And whereas a lot of companies just started talking about AI 7 or 8 months ago, we started working and programming and patenting AI 7 or 8 years ago.
So talk to me about AI. How is Zeta using AI?
So we use artificial intelligence across a number of different components of our technology stack. The most important of which is across the 240 million plus Americans in our data cloud, we're ingesting trillions of signals. What are they doing? What are they reading? What are they buying? Where do they go? What do they search? And it's then
Welcome back to NYSE TV Live, everyone. I'm Kristen Scholler here in studio at the Stock Exchange. Well, the American Academy of Sleep Medicine has been studying better sleep practices for nearly 50 years. And I want to send things over now to my colleague Trinity Chavez with more. Hi, Trinity.
Hey, Kristen. Yeah, so there are so many factors that contribute to sleep apnea, including chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, which many people know it as, which is also another major area of focus for ResMed. And according to the CDC, nearly 16 million U.S. adults have COPD, and many more don't even know that they have it. So COPD rates in the U.S. remain steady over the last decade, with 1 in every 17 adults affected in 2021. Unemployed adults were twice as likely to report COPD compared to those unemployed. Additionally, 1 in every 5 adults who were unable to work had the condition, down from 10 years ago. Meantime, regarding sleep apnea, the American Academy of Sleep Medicine is performing a CDC-funded obstructive sleep apnea awareness project as a part of CDC's Chronic Disease Education and Awareness Program. Joining me now to talk more about it is Dr. James Rowley. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning.
Yeah, so can you tell me a little bit more about this CDC-backed study?
Yes, we've been participating in a study that has both presented data, gathered together a lot of data about sleep apnea in the United States, and then we've been using resources to get the word out to both the public and primary care physicians about how common sleep apnea actually is in the United States, and what associated disorders.
Yeah, sleep apnea affects about 20% of the population, actually. So what do you think are the key risk factors contributing to this high prevalence?
Probably the biggest one is obesity. Sleep apnea is definitely an obesity-driven disease. The more you weigh, the more likely you are to snore, and the more likely you are to have sleep apnea. And as we know, obesity is a major problem in the United States at this time.
Yeah, and with an estimated 39 million U.S. adults suffering from obstructive sleep apnea, how does this condition impact daily productivity and the broader economy?
Yeah, so sleep apnea prevents you from getting a good night's sleep. So for the average patient with sleep apnea, they can be sleepy during the day, not have good focus, not be able to concentrate at work. There's definitely known increased risk of accidents at work and while driving with sleep apnea. It is also it's been shown that sleep apnea is associated with increased medical visits, doctor visits, emergency room visits. So that's definitely another way it impacts the U.S.
And this condition is often underdiagnosed. So what are the signs that people should watch for, and why is this so frequently overlooked?
Because snoring is the most important symptom, and I think there's just a general society feeling that snoring is just something to sort of laugh at and not be serious about. But loud snoring is definitely a symptom of sleep apnea and should be evaluated if it's something that is particularly bothersome to a bed partner or a loved one. Mm-hmm. Other major things are if you see your loved one choking or gasping at night, and then having daytime sleepiness, fatigue, inability to concentrate, are all reasons to be evaluated by a sleep doctor.
Doctor, briefly, what are some of the potential long-term complications of untreated sleep apnea?
So there's clear associations primarily with cardiovascular disease, definitely higher risk of high blood pressure, heart disease, whether you think of it as coronary artery disease or congestive heart failure, also increased risk of stroke. There's also some evidence of increased risk of diabetes as well.
A lot of key takeaways right there. Thank you so much, doctor, for joining me today.
You're very welcome.
Now we have a lot more to get to as we're just minutes away from opening up the U.S. equity markets, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break.
Eldad, it's wonderful to have you on Floor Talk. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to start off by talking about the company. Tell me about Firebolt.
Firebolt is a data warehouse company. We're 5 years old. We've raised a total of $270 million. We're 120 people strong, and we've been building our product for the last 5 years.
So now you are in a crowded market with the cloud data warehousing. How do you stand apart from others?
The data market is very crowded. It's crowded with stacks, databases, solutions. Firebolt is focusing on one thing, It's building the best data warehouse for data-intensive apps. If you're at scale, if you need high concurrency, if you need to serve your data to your customers versus just using it in-house, Firebolt should be at the top of your list.
Now tell me, how does Firebolt help organizations overcome data processing challenges?
First and foremost, it's about efficiency. Getting 10x price performance efficiency is a beginning to start dealing with low latency at scale. So that's what Firebolt has been focusing on most of our effort, getting that 10x efficiency.
And tell me finally, what role does innovation play at Firebolt?
Firebolt itself is actually built on top of heavy research coming from places like Tom University, which is an important place for database research. On the other hand, we have our team in Kirkland, which are engineers that have built massive databases over the years. So combining those two teams, Seattle and Munich, Germany, is making wonders to our innovation. We've built it almost from scratch, and I think this is one of the most ambitious database projects that we've seen.
Welcome back to NYSE TV Live, everyone. I'm Kristen Scholler. Down here on the floor of the stock exchange, we are awaiting the opening bell, and joining me now is Johanna Grossman, head of healthcare and life sciences with the capital markets team at the New York Stock Exchange. Johanna, such a great day to have you join. How important is this celebration from ResMed today?
Well, thank you so much for having me on. Today marks a huge anniversary for ResMed. First, it's 35 years of its founding, helping patients live better lives through helping them sleep better and breathing better. Second, we're celebrating their 25th year as a listed company, which is always an amazing milestone. So congratulations to ResMed and the entire team. And finally, we're hosting ResMed's Investor Day later this morning, so we're really excited to hear some of the business updates that may be coming out later this morning.
I always like to say that health is wealth, and I'm sure probably in your division there are a lot of companies doing great things alongside ResMed, especially when it comes to improving the lives of everyday Americans. What else are you seeing in the space, and how do you help this community here at the Stock Exchange?
Well, here at the New York Stock Exchange, we're home to 74% of med tech companies by market cap. So we have an amazing community of companies to look at. Companies like Smith & Nephew, Zimmer Biomet, Medtronic, for example. We support these companies throughout their entire journey, not only from before a public company, but then also as a listed company. Things like supporting their IR and finance functions. We also help their trading with support from our designated market makers here on the trading floor. But then we also find opportunities for thought leadership. And that's, I think, one of my favorite things is bringing together this community. Just earlier this year in February, we hosted our CEO Summit for Digital Health CEOs. A fantastic opportunity to bring this community together to really talk about, what's new in the space, what are some of the challenges these companies are trying to overcome and solve, especially coming out of the COVID highs now in today's world.
Well, speaking about that thought leadership, I'm curious as to what else might be lined up for the rest of this year and into 2025 when it comes to advancing healthcare led by the Stock Exchange.
Yes, so we here at the New York Stock Exchange host about 2,500 events a year, and that's everything from educational to as well as, again, these thought leadership opportunities. But we also attend many events as well. So later this month, for example, I'm going to be going to Health in Las Vegas, connecting with many other med tech and digital health companies there at that conference. But then also in Q4, we're hosting our annual private company showcase, which will bring together the New York bio community and investors in and around New York City to come and see some of these companies present.
Fascinating. And when it comes to ResMed in particular, what are you expecting to play out today as we await to hear from the chair and CEO?
Oh, I don't know. We're going to have to tune in and see what happens then. But, I'm excited for them. They've had a tremendous year so far. I think this year, I believe it's their highest year since 35 years of founding. So it'll be fun to see what items come out of their presentations later this morning.
Yeah, I see the stock up fractionally pre-market as well. We are just moments away, Johanna, from the opening bell in about 5 seconds time or so. So let's take a look on that opening bell podium where the chair and CEO will be celebrating the bell. We are off to the races here at the New York Stock Exchange, and as the market opens on what is the final trading day of the month of September and the third quarter, I am joined by an expert all things equity markets, Christine Short. She's the head of research at Wall Street Horizon. Christine, it's great to talk to you, especially today. Not only are we wrapping up the third quarter, but we also have a busy week on tap. What's on your radar?
There's a lot, as usual, but there's a lot going on this week. I'm checking in on the first kind of beginning trickle of Q3 earnings. We've got Nike, McCormick, ConAgra, a few other names coming in. Of course, towards the end of the week, we've got the jobs number for September that's going to be out. Also keeping a check on oil prices. We had those Israeli airstrikes in Lebanon over the weekend that killed Hezbollah leader Nasrallah. That hasn't seemed to impact oil prices. Last I checked, Brent and WTI were only up about 1%. But, the war there, political tensions, yes, could, impact oil supply. So always keep an eye on that. And then most immediately are these potential dock worker strikes that are set to begin at midnight tonight. Contracts are due by tomorrow, October 1st. As far as I know, talks are at an impasse, so there's been no progress there, but the repercussions would be huge on supply chain, shipping delays, prices. We've just wrangled inflation, and that would lead to prices going up. JP Morgan says it could cost the U.S. economy $5 billion every day that it lasts. That's 6% of U.S. GDP. So going to keep an eye on if any progress is made today, because that could obviously have huge ramifications, especially ahead of the holiday shopping season.
I know, and I think, the more that we cover these holiday shopping trends, October 1st, tomorrow, seems to be almost the unofficial start to the holiday season. And so I think it's good to point out just the timing of all of this. In terms of retailers that this could impact, what are some of the ones that might see a hit?
Walmart, IKEA, you look at the list, it's Home Depot, Amazon, LG, so all your electronics, the big things people save up for Black Friday, Dollar General, so even some of the dollar names and the discount names certainly going to be impacted, but those are the direct hits. It would trickle into, any of these retailers. And again, the holiday shopping season makes up 20% of U.S. annual retail sales, so it's a huge chunk of the shopping that us consumers do for the year. And so it would mean shipping delays on things. It would mean, it could even impact hiring at some point. Because retailers aren't going to do their usual seasonal hiring if there's supply chain issues and they're having trouble keeping the shelves stocked. So it would trickle into pretty much every facet of the economy.
Let's talk about the jobs report. That's on Friday. And of course, jobs is so important to the Fed these days when it comes to determining its path forward for interest rates. What are your expectations?
Yeah, so I think the current estimates are for about non-farm payrolls to rise 140,000. That's in line. We saw for August about 142,000. But I'm being mindful that the last couple of readings have come in a little bit light, which obviously the markets haven't liked. We did get a positive note last quarter or last month. We saw unemployment tick down just a little bit. And then if you look at the recent initial claims, those have actually been dropping. So I think leading to the report, it's positive to see that. We've, of course, just gotten that jumbo 50 basis point cut from the Fed a couple weeks ago that shows they support the labor market. They are trying not to see this thing cool any further. But again, the reason it is so important, and we go back to the consumer, is that the consumer, the highest correlation with how they spend money is how they feel about their jobs. And so if they see the labor market softening anymore, if they're worried about the possibility of them having a job in the next 3 to 6 months, they're not going to be as willing to spend.
Christine, in terms of companies reporting earnings, can you list a few that would be on tap here?
Yeah, so this week, like I said, it starts very light. We've got Nike and a few of the consumer staple names, Constellation Brands, McCormick, ConAgra. Next week is when things really kick off. October 11th, next Friday, we get all 3 of the big banks, JP Morgan, we got Citigroup, Wells Fargo. The week after, we get the rest of the investment banks and more of the financials. So that's really the kickoff. They are sort of the bellwether for the season and how it's going to go. Right now, the expectation is for Q3 growth just shy of 5%, both on the top and the bottom line. What's interesting, though, is analysts have really been ratcheting estimates down. They've dropped them about 4 percentage points since July. The reason I think this is good, and it's a catalyst for a good third quarter earnings season, is that we know investors really react positively when companies have big beats. And so by pulling estimates down, we all know the game, right? It raises the likelihood that companies are going to put in big beats. Investors are going to react to those.
All right, Christine Short, head of research at Wall Street Horizon. Christine, thank you so much for joining us at the Market Open. Let's take a quick break, and on the other side, we'll be speaking with the New York Stock Exchange's head of global listings and today's bell ringer.
Gridspace is a company that makes artificial intelligence software for contact centers.
And why would people want to know about this? How is it beneficial for companies?
Super exciting time for voice AI. My co-founders and I really wanted to work together, and we wanted to solve a really hard everyday problem. Is this problem of hold times. So we would be on the phone with a bank, with an insurance company, with a healthcare provider for hours just to get some basic account change done or some information from the company. And as we dug into this problem more, we learned that the companies hated actually putting us on hold too. But the problem was a staffing problem. They didn't have enough people to answer the phones, and they didn't have enough people to actually train them to take care of customer problems.
Wow, so wait, why do companies hate putting their customers on hold as well?
Strangely, customers and companies are pretty aligned on the goal of getting stuff done. And the contact center is the sort of last line of defense of for companies to get stuff done for customers, but it doesn't always happen that way. So that got us thinking, what if a contact center could work more like a website, where you could go to the website and you could solve your problem really quickly. You didn't have to wait in line, and there would never ever be this, problem of, queuing to get to a person that could, take care of your issue.
So you actually have a demo that we can try today, right? Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I made you, Trinity, a virtual receptionist that you can talk to about your upcoming dentist appointment.
Digital Group. My name is Grace. I am a virtual receptionist. How can I help you today?
I would like to make a dentist appointment.
Sure. Let's schedule an appointment for you. What is your name?
Trinity.
Welcome back to NYSE TV Live. I'm Trinity Chavez, and moments ago, ResMed rang the opening bell in celebration of being an NYSE-listed company for 25 years. Chris Taylor, he is the global head of listings for the NYSE, is joining me now, and you're actually a customer of ResMed.
Well, I am a very happy customer. Mick and I were talking, it's 25 years of ResMed on the NYSE, 35 years since the company's founding, and when they were here 5 years ago, celebrating 30 years and 20 years, Mick and I had a high five at the Apex celebrating the bell, and we recreated that today. So it was a great morning here. They have a lot of work left in the day. They're meeting with their investors to tell the amazing story of ResMed. This is a company with a great history, but has an even brighter future. And I am a customer. I am a customer of their AirSense 11 CPAP, which allows me to sleep much better when I'm home. And I'm heading on the road today, and I'm bringing the Air Mini, which is their travel CPAP. So it's improved my health, it's improved the quality of my life, and it's improved the happiness, particularly, as I said before, of my wife, who has to put up with my snoring no longer.
I bet you she's a very happy camper.
Yes,
but let's
indeed.
talk about ResMed's performance overall.
Yeah.
Talk to me about how it's impacted the broader health sector.
Well, it's interesting, in the market, sectors perform differently. I'd say health care writ large has been under a little pressure. ResMed itself, relative to the market, relative to the S&P, has performed really, really well. They've really identified their market and have talked to investors about the growth that they're experiencing worldwide. I was very proud of the 48 countries that NYSE listed companies are in. ResMed's in more than 140 countries around the world. So really, really impressive growth, really impressive company.
Amazing. Well, we have a lot more to get to on the show, Chris. I appreciate you joining us on NYSE TV Live.
Awesome. Thank you, Trinity. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, great. Now we have a lot more to get to. When we come back from this break, we're going to speak to the chairman and CEO of NYSE-listed company ResMed. Stay tuned.
So at Memo Security, we specialize in browser security. So you can think of the browser as the conduit for most people to get onto the internet, and that's where a lot of risk lives. The advantage we have is we turn any browser, you take your Chrome, your Edge, we take the existing browser and make it into an enterprise, secure enterprise browser, completely resilient against malware, ransomware, the sort of common attacks that you hear of every day.
And what was your motivation to starting Menlo Security? Tell me about that story.
So I've been in the cybersecurity for a long time, sort of over 25 years, and there from the early days on to today. And what we notice is this cat and mouse game with essentially the bad guys, where technology gets a little bit better, and then the bad guys get even better than that. Yeah. And it felt to me at the time of starting Menlo, again, over 10 years ago, that we were losing that race as a cyber industry. So we really wanted to kind of think about the problem differently and build something that is safe by design, essentially telling our customers, look, if you let us handle it, if you let us kind of insert ourselves between you and the web, we can guarantee you will no longer be hit by malware, ransomware. We'll make those things go away.
Tell me about some of the key milestones that you've achieved recently.
With the advantage of being a co-founder and being there from day zero, as you think back, there's just a small group of us that started the company, and you think there with an idea of, gosh, let's create a cloud browser and try to play defense differently. To watch that come to reality is very fulfilling. So our first big customer, in fact, was JP Morgan. Had been using us for a long time now. And just winning JP Morgan as a customer in and of itself was a career highlight at the time. And then that's led on to now having 8 out of the 10 largest banks use us. Another milestone is reaching 1 million users being protected every day on those, what we spoke about.
Welcome back to NYSE TV Live. I'm Kristen Schuller down here on the floor of the stock exchange, and joining me now is the man of the hour. He's the chair and CEO of ResMed, Michael Mick Farrell. Michael, great to have you, and congratulations. 25 years listed here at the stock exchange, here for your Investor Day. What do shareholders need to know?
Well, look, yeah, it's 35 years that ResMed's been around, helping the world sleep better, breathe better, and live better lives in their home. And so what do investors need to know? What do the people need to know? There are 1 billion people worldwide who suffocate every night with sleep apnea. I call it sleep suffocation. Bobby, the cameraman operating here, is a patient. I'm not breaking HIPAA law, he just told me, and thumbs up, it changed his life. This all started, ResMed started 35 years ago. My father met a patient called Eddie Merck, and he asked, why are you using this product? And Eddie Merck, patient zero, said, this saved my job, it saved my marriage, and it saved my life. So we're planning to do that for hundreds of millions of people worldwide. Our 5-year strategy that we're launching today, a ResMed 2030 strategy, we're going to help 500 million people of the 2.3 billion worldwide that have sleep apnea, insomnia, or COPD, or respiratory insufficiency. So it's a big journey. It's an exciting event. 100 quarters on the big board. We're really excited to celebrate 25 years on NYSE, but more important, we're excited about the future. And ResMed 2030, we're launching that today.
100 years, 100 quarters, that is quite a celebration here at the New York Stock Exchange. And in terms of the sleep devices that help people and change their lives, I know you're not launching a new one today. Tell me more about it.
Well, look, yeah, we have a fantastic platform, the AirSense 11, that's out there in the market and been out for about a year. AirCurve 11, which is the bi-levels launched earlier this year. But today, before the market opened, and maybe that's why we're up about 3.7% today on the big board, is we launched a new product called the N30i. And this is revolutionary because many people who use our products, it's liquid silicon rubber. It's a plastic that sort of forms the nasal connections that give you the pneumatic stent that keeps the patient breathing and alive. We today are launching our first fabric-based mask. So think about you sleep in sheets with fabric and nice, comfortable fabrics. Why have a medical equipment that is a piece of plastic? And so we're launching the world's first fabric-driven sleep apnea mask called the N30i. So excited to show that to the world today and to see what it can do to help the world sleep better, breathe better, and live better lives.
We do see the stock up several percentage points here shortly after the open, Mick. And I'm curious, too, in terms of the digital connectivity component about this, how does that factor in? What does that mean for your business and for your consumers?
It's a really good question, Krista, because this is so much more than just a physical device, a CPAP and APAP, a bi-level. It's more than just the physical connection device, the mask that forms that pneumatic seal. It's the digital health ecosystem. And we now have 8.3 million people who have an app called My Air, where they're able to see, like you would with a Fitbit, you see how many steps you've taken, exercise. My Air is like a Fitbit for sleep. It shows you how you slept, how you were breathing, how you woke. And today we're launching some upgrades that the My Air data can go from your phone to your Apple Watch. and to other ecosystems. So we're getting in the Apple Health ecosystem there as well. I'm really excited to see two big brands get involved in the sleep health area. Samsung just launched the Samsung Galaxy Watch with FDA de novo clearance to detect moderate to severe sleep apnea. And Apple just recently, earlier this month, launched an ability to detect for sleep apnea right from the Apple Watch as well. So two huge consumer tech companies jumping into the field of sleep screening and sleep diagnostic. What ResMed has to do is then take them from I call it sort of a sleep health concierge, from, oh wow, I might have a problem, my phone has told me, my watch has told me, to screening, diagnosis, treatment, and management for life for their medical condition.
Mick, my final question to you is, in the healthcare space, we see a lot of focus on some of these GLP-1 drugs, weight loss drugs. What does that mean for your business, the increasing popularity and use of these?
Yeah, so there's two big mega trends I talked about, the consumer tech companies getting involved in sleep. Big pharma getting involved in sleep is really interesting as well. And we actually think there'll be a drug with an indication for use to be involved in sleep apnea. And we think the combination therapy of CPAP, APAP bilevel with a GLP-1 will probably become standard of care for many patients. But look, it's early days for this new class of medicines. They'll probably be as big as high blood pressure meds and high cholesterol medicines. And so we're watching this. What we have is data that shows that a patient on a GLP-1 is 10.7% more likely to start CPAP, APAP bilevel therapy, and they're more likely to stay over time as well. So we think that combination therapy will be the future of medicine. But look, it's always been about lowering weight and improving breathing together. We get to do that at scale now.
Mick, we so appreciate you joining. Of course, big day for your company. Congratulations, 25 years listed here at the Stock Exchange.
Thank you for having me.
All right, well, the Stock Exchange has hosted a wide variety of events during the month of September, including Carbonomics 2024, which commenced as a part of New York's Climate Week. My colleague Trinity Chavez caught up with Respira's CEO and co-founder Anna Hurry on how businesses can reduce emissions and invest in climate mitigation. Let's take a look.
Respira is an impact-driven carbon finance solutions business. That means that we work with developers of nature-based projects. By that, we mean projects that are conserving forests or preventing deforestation, primarily in global south countries, mangrove restorations, cookstove projects, etc. And those projects are going to generate carbon credits. We enter into long-term offtake agreements with those developers where we commit to buy current and future streams of carbon credits at set prices. We then have those credits on our balance sheet, and then we work with corporates who are looking to use carbon credits as one of the tools in their decarbonization strategies.
And you know, Respira has been a critical part of the new Reduce and Invest campaign. That's focused on sustainability. It's an initiative focused on promoting environmental responsibility and carbon reduction. So talk to me about what this campaign does and elaborate on it more for our viewers who might not know.
It's really aimed at corporate CEOs. And it is to explain to them why it is necessary to take climate action, what the purpose of it is. We both have to reduce our own emissions, and we need to invest in the voluntary carbon markets if we're going to achieve 1.5 degrees by 2050. So essentially it's trying to get that message across to corporates that they need to take climate action through both reducing their own emissions, but also investing in other climate mitigation strategies. So for example, nature-based credits or removals, or transition to renewable energy, but essentially it's so that we achieve both.
What would you say inspired Respira to galvanize this coalition to really spearhead this initiative?
Frustration at how much the demand side, i.e. corporate buyers, were coming under attack from anti-carbon markets, NGOs, scientists, etc., who believe that using carbon credits is instead of reducing one's own emissions. Whereas in fact, what we're finding is that companies who are reducing their own emissions are also using carbon credits, are actually decarbonizing at twice the rate. And there is this misperception that one would use carbon credits instead of taking action on a corporate's own emissions. And we have gone from sort of a state where companies are being accused of greenwashing. To them, they're sort of saying, well, actually, it's better for us to say nothing, so they're green hushing. But we're now seeing lots of corporates stepping away from taking action altogether because that's the easiest thing to do, and that isn't climate leadership. So we're trying to encourage CEOs to both reduce their own emissions, but also to invest in other climate action.
What kind of impact have you seen as a result from this campaign? What has the feedback been?
The feedback has been really positive so far, and really the main sort of message that we've been getting is that they like the simplicity of the message. This sort of whole area of how to use carbon credits has become mired in different acronyms, different words, nomenclature, and it's become really confusing. Are you offsetting? Are you insetting? Are you doing beyond value chain mitigation? Is it a contribution? Is it compensation? But actually the message is really simple. We have to reduce emissions and invest in voluntary carbon markets.
And how would you say reduce and invest aligns with the overall goals of Respira?
Well, for us, we want to see real climate action. Nature can provide 1/3 of the mitigation potential that we need in order to reach global net zero, and I think that sometimes we just forget that, and we're focusing on taking action in 2040 or 2050. And just use removals at that stage. But the value of reducing or avoiding the emission of a carbon credit today is worth the removal, tenfold the removal that will have to take place at some point in the future. So what we want to see is action today.
And how does this group plan to build or sustain the overall success of this campaign?
We want to have more and more market participants joining the coalition. It has been an informal grouping of like-minded organizations who've come together to fund and support this campaign. And essentially we just need more funding in order to have the campaign go beyond what we've just kickstarted now in this month of September here at Climate Change.
And where can our viewers, or anybody for that matter, find out more information about this campaign?
www.reduceandinvest.com. There's a lot of information there.
Stay with us on NYSE TV Live. We'll have more after this short break.
Joining me today on NYSE Floor Talk is Tom McInerney. He is the president and CEO at Genworth. Tom, it's fantastic to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thank you so much.
Exciting morning here at the New York Stock Exchange. You're celebrating 20 years as a public company listed on the New York Stock Exchange. So tell me, what accomplishments are you most proud of?
Well, there's a lot to be proud of. First, we made it through a lot of controversy over the years. 2008, the Great Recession, and then obviously surviving COVID-19. But probably what I'm most proud about is how well we've served our 2.5 million customers. And just in our long-term care insurance business alone, we've paid 370,000 claims, almost $29 billion, helping family deal with a very high cost of long-term care. And we positioned the company well for the future. We've reduced our debt from over $5 billion to $850 million, and we're ready to go in our next 20 years.
All right, so tell me, what does the next 20 years look like for Genworth?
Well, we have a great business in Enact, a mortgage insurance business, doing very well in the top 5 in the country. And we're also starting 2 new businesses, Care Scout businesses, one to provide advice and navigation, consulting to the baby boomers, and the other new insurance products to help, particularly the 70 million baby boomers, deal with the very, very high cost of long-term care services.
Tom, what are you most excited about for Genworth's future?
When I joined 12 years ago, the long-term care industry and the marketplace in the U.S. was very challenged. And I think what I'm most proud of is that Genworth, as a leader in long-term care insurance, been a leader for 40 years, we're really ready to launch new products and really change the market and help both Americans and their families and the U.S. long-term care health system.
Well, Tom, congratulations on...
Welcome back to NYSE TV Live, everyone. I'm Kristen Scholler. And Quantum Health is a healthcare technology company focused on enhancing the patient experience and streamlining processes. Trinity Chavez spoke with CEO Zane Burke about making healthcare simpler, smarter, and more cost-effective.
Quantum Health describes their team as big-hearted, fast-thinking people who are on a mission to make healthcare simpler, smarter, and more cost-effective. We're going to find out more from the CEO on this episode of Taking Stock.
Quantum Health is the category creator for healthcare navigation, where we supply healthcare navigation for the largest self-insured employers in the country.
I want to talk about your business strategy. What would you say is your strategic focus over the next 3 to 5 years?
Our focus is really around how do we create the best healthcare experience for members, because healthcare is incredibly complex and hard. It's continuing to be complex. Our role is to take that complexity and simplify it for our members and try to create better experiences, more engagement, and drive better clinical and financial outcomes.
Tell me more about your culture and motivation at the company. What inspires you and how do you remain innovative and ahead of the curve?
Culture is everything. So you can feel it when you come into our shop. You can feel how people are warrioring on behalf of our members to get the best out of their best benefits for the members, try to create that experience that's better, take the scariness out of healthcare for them. So culture is everything. We invest heavily in our warrior culture. That's a big key element. It's probably the piece that doesn't show up on my balance sheet or income statement, but it's the most important part. And then the innovation side of this is how do we take the problems that our clients are seeing in terms of costs and try to drive those cost elements out. So we're constantly working with our clients and thinking on our own, what's the next best thing that can make a difference both from an experience, an engagement, and a financial and clinical outcome.
Can you share some real life examples of some of the work that you're proud of or
Sure.
key milestones that you've achieved?
One of the big key elements is we're seeing in our clients is pharmacy costs have gone up significantly. So you may have seen some things around GLP-1s and specialty meds. I can tell you from a pharmacy trend perspective, that is significantly hitting our clients. And so what we've been able to do is quickly adapt to say our clients need pharmacy navigation. We already manage the pharmacy trend within medical, but this is actually going out that pharmacy cost. And how do we do it in a way that makes it feel better for the member, but also saves the sponsor money at the same time?
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me on Taking Stock.
Thanks for having me, Trinity. Appreciate it.
Trinity, great interview there. I know we got to leave it here. Big day on Wall Street. I'm Kristen Scholler.
And I'm Trinity Chavez. Thank you for tuning in.
In life, I'm reminded that it's not about the destination, it is truly about the journey.
My pleasure to greet you today from the center of the U.S. capital markets here at the New York Stock Exchange.
I want to just take a minute and not just talk to the people that are in the room, but I want to speak to the rest of the team around the globe. These are people that made this happen, and I know that there is no way we would be here if it wasn't for you.